Every day we wake up and step into a world filled with noise, deadlines, social media, people pulling us in 1,000 directions, and a constant pressure to do more, achieve more, and be more. But here's the truth we often miss. Happiness isn't hidden somewhere in the future, waiting for us at the end of our to-do list or at the next big milestone. It's right here, within us, waiting to be unlocked. And this isn't just a feel-good statement. It's a philosophy that has been practiced for over 2,000 years. Stoicism, the ancient wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, has the power to completely reshape how we think about happiness, resilience, and inner peace. In today's video, we're diving deep into the timeless lessons of Stoicism, lessons that aren't just for ancient philosophers, but for all of us navigating the chaos of modern life. If you've ever felt overwhelmed, constantly striving but never feeling satisfied, this is for you. These Stoic principles will help you find calm in the storm, stay true to yourself, and discover that the happiness you've been chasing has been within your reach all along. Before we dive in, if you appreciate what we're doing here, a simple favor I'll ask is to hit the subscribe button. It's free and helps us continue sharing this wisdom with you. And make sure you don't skip any part of the video, because each lesson builds on the next. Let's get into it. Lesson 1. Let go of what you can't control. Let's start with one of the most powerful lessons Stoicism has to offer. Let go of what you can't control. It sounds simple, right? But how often do we actually practice this in our daily lives? Most of us spend so much energy stressing over things that are completely outside our control, other people's opinions, unexpected events, or even the weather. We let these things steal our peace, and it's exhausting. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, were very clear on this. They believed that the key to inner peace was focusing on what we can control, our thoughts, our actions, our responses, and letting go of everything else. You can't control how someone else treats you, but you can control how you respond. You can't stop unexpected challenges from showing up, but you can choose how you deal with them. When you really think about it, there's a lot of freedom in that. Here's the thing. By trying to control everything, we're only setting ourselves up for frustration. Life is unpredictable. People can be unpredictable. And the more we try to force things to go our way, the more we end up feeling stressed, anxious, and powerless. Stoicism teaches us to take a step back and ask ourselves, is this within my control? If the answer is no, that's your cue to let it go. Not in a careless way, but in a way that frees you from wasting your energy on things you simply cannot change. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations about accepting the natural flow of life, recognizing that we are only responsible for our own minds and actions. When you let go of what you can't control, you stop carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. You shift your focus to the things you can influence, your mindset, your decisions, your own happiness. And that's where real power lies. Lesson 2. Stay strong when life gets tough. Life doesn't always go smoothly, and we all know that. But here's the truth. It's not about avoiding hard times. It's about learning how to stay strong when life gets tough. The Stoics were masters at this. They didn't sugarcoat the difficulties of life. Instead, they embraced them, understanding that challenges are not just inevitable, but necessary for growth. Think about it. No one gets through life without facing adversity. Whether it's a personal setback, losing a job, dealing with health issues, or navigating tough relationships, we all encounter moments that push us to our limits. Stoicism teaches us that resilience isn't about pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's about recognizing that while we can't always control what happens, we can control how we respond. The Stoics believed that adversity is an opportunity to build strength. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reminded himself that obstacles are a part of life, not something to run from. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the things that seem to block our path are actually the path itself. Every time we face a challenge, we have the chance to practice resilience, patience, and wisdom. One of the most powerful tools Stoicism gives us is the ability to reframe adversity. Instead of seeing difficulties as things that happen to us, we can start to see them as things that happen for us. Every tough situation is a test of our strength, our character, and our ability to adapt. When we face challenges head-on, we grow. It's like building muscle. You don't get stronger by avoiding the workout. You get stronger by embracing the strain and pushing through. So, how do we stay strong when life gets tough? First, accept that challenges are a part of life. They're not something to be feared or avoided, but embraced. Second, remember that you have the power to choose how you respond. Lesson 3. Find joy in the little things. Let's talk about finding joy in the little things, because here's the truth. We spend so much of our lives chasing after big moments, achievements, milestones, that next big promotion or trip, and we forget that real happiness often comes from the small, everyday things. The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that the pursuit of more, the endless chase for bigger, better, and newer, often leaves us feeling empty and unsatisfied. What truly brings lasting joy is right in front of us, in the present moment. Stoicism teaches us to appreciate what we already have. Epictetus famously said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." When you think about it, that's a powerful shift in perspective. Instead of focusing on what we lack or what's missing, Stoicism encourages us to look around and realize how much we already have to be grateful for. It's in that morning cup of coffee, the warmth of the sun on your face, or the laughter shared with a friend. These are the moments that, when we pause to notice them, fill our lives with meaning. But here's the thing. Our modern world is constantly pushing us to believe that happiness is somewhere in the future, waiting for us after we've achieved something or bought something new. Stoicism calls us to stop running and to find contentment in the present. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote that people lose their joy by looking towards what is to come instead of focusing on the present. That's such a relatable thought, isn't it? We often miss the beauty of the now because we're so focused on the next thing. Finding joy in the little things doesn't mean lowering your expectations or settling. It means training your mind to see the value in what's already around you. Practicing gratitude is one of the simplest but most powerful ways to do this. Take a moment each day to reflect on what you're grateful for, no matter how small it may seem. This habit shifts your mindset from constantly striving for more to truly appreciating what you have. The Stoics also practiced something called negative visualization. They would imagine losing the things they held dear, not to feel sad, but to remind themselves not to take anything for granted. When you imagine life without some of the small pleasures you enjoy, it can make you realize how valuable they truly are. Lesson 4. Face your fears, head on. Whether it's fear of failure, fear of what others think, or fear of the unknown, it has a way of creeping into our lives and holding us back. But here's where Stoicism gives us some serious wisdom. Instead of avoiding fear, we need to face it head on. The Stoics believed that fear doesn't have to paralyze us. It can actually empower us if we learn how to manage it. One of the most powerful tools the Stoics used for dealing with fear is a practice called negative visualization. This might sound counterintuitive, but stay with me. Instead of running away from the things we're afraid of, the Stoics would imagine the worst-case scenarios. They would picture the things they feared most: losing a job, getting sick, failing at something important, and then ask themselves, if this happened, could I handle it? More often than not, the answer is yes. This practice doesn't make you dwell on negativity. It makes you realize that even if the worst happens, you have the strength to get through it. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Think about that for a second. How often do we let fear of the unknown, or fear of something that might never even happen, keep us stuck? We build these scenarios in our minds that are far worse than reality. Stoicism teaches us to break that cycle. By confronting fear, we strip it of its power. We realize that what we're really afraid of is often just a thought, not a reality. Facing your fears head-on isn't about being fearless. It's about recognizing that fear is a natural part of life, and instead of letting it control you, you learn to control your response to it. The Stoics weren't about avoiding emotions. They were about mastering them. When fear shows up, Stoicism reminds us that we always have a choice. We can either let fear dictate our actions, or we can acknowledge it, accept it, and then move forward anyway. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." In other words, it's not the fear itself that holds us back. It's how we interpret and respond to it. By shifting our perspective, we can face fear with calm and reason rather than panic and avoidance. So, the next time fear shows up in your life, don't run from it. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? Could you handle it? The answer is probably yes. By facing your fears head-on, you'll discover that most of them are smaller than you imagined, and more importantly, you'll realize just how resilient you truly are. Lesson 5. Be true to yourself. In today's world, we're constantly surrounded by expectations: what society thinks we should do, what our families want for us, or even what social media shows as success. It's easy to get caught up in trying to meet everyone else's standards, but Stoicism teaches us that real happiness comes from living in alignment with our own values, not anyone else's. The Stoics were all about staying anchored in what truly matters to you. Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." It's such a simple yet profound reminder that before we act, we need to define who we are and what we stand for. When you're clear about your own values, what's meaningful to you, life gets a lot simpler. You stop getting distracted by external pressures and start living according to your true self. But here's the challenge: it's tough to drown out the noise. Everywhere you look, someone has an opinion about what you should be doing, how you should look, or what success should mean. Stoicism helps us build the strength to resist that noise. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote in his Meditations about the importance of standing firm in our values, even when others don't understand. He knew that staying true to yourself often means going against the grain, but it's the only way to live an authentic, fulfilling life. Being true to yourself doesn't mean ignoring others or not caring about the world around you. It's about living with integrity, even when it's difficult. It's about making choices based on your values, not out of fear of judgment or a desire for approval. When you're true to yourself, you're not swayed by trends or what's popular at the moment. You're grounded in who you are, and that brings a sense of peace that no external validation can ever give you. Another key aspect of this lesson is understanding that you don't need to compare yourself to others. Stoicism teaches us that comparison is one of the quickest ways to lose our peace. Instead of looking at what someone else has or how they live, focus on your own journey. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, reminded us that we are all on our own paths, and what works for someone else might not be what's best for you. The goal is to live in a way that's aligned with your own purpose, not to chase someone else's version of success. So how do you stay true to yourself in a world that's constantly pulling you in different directions? It starts with clarity. Take time to reflect on what really matters to you. What kind of person do you want to be? And what values do you want to live by? Once you have that foundation, make choices that reflect those values. And remember, it's not about being perfect. Stoicism isn't about never making mistakes, but about staying committed to your path, even when it's hard. Lesson 6. Change how you see things. The way we perceive events in our lives has a huge impact on how we experience them. The Stoics believed that it's not what happens to us that matters most, but how we interpret those events. And here's where it gets interesting. By changing our perspective, we can change how we feel about almost anything. Take this idea from Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic thinkers. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. It's a reminder that our thoughts have the power to shape our reality. If we constantly focus on the negative, we'll feel weighed down by life's challenges. But if we learn to shift our perspective, we can find peace and even joy in situations that once seemed overwhelming. One of the best ways to apply this lesson is through something the Stoics called reframing. Reframing is all about seeing things differently. Instead of looking at a setback as a failure, you can choose to see it as an opportunity to learn and grow. Instead of focusing on what's going wrong, you can shift your attention to what you can control or what you can improve. It's not about being overly optimistic or ignoring problems. It's about training your mind to look for possibilities and solutions rather than staying stuck in frustration. Epictetus, another influential Stoic philosopher, put it simply, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This idea is so freeing because it means that no matter what life throws at us, we have the power to choose our response. Let's say you face a difficult situation at work. A project doesn't go as planned, or you get some tough feedback. You could see that as a disaster and let it ruin your day, or you could take a step back and ask, what can I learn from this? How can I use this experience to improve? Stoicism teaches us that this change in perspective doesn't just help with big challenges. It applies to everyday life too. For example, think about those small annoyances that can ruin your mood. Getting stuck in traffic, dealing with a difficult person, or having a long day at work. Instead of letting those things frustrate you, try reframing the situation. You can't control the traffic, but you can use that time to listen to a podcast or reflect on your day. You can't change how someone else behaves, but you can control your response and choose to stay calm instead of reacting emotionally. The beauty of changing how you see things is that it empowers you. It puts you back in the driver's seat of your life, reminding you that while you can't control every event, you can control how you experience it. This is why the Stoics valued perspective so much. It's the key to staying steady when the world around you feels chaotic. By shifting your viewpoint, you stop being a victim of your circumstances and become the author of your own story. The next time you face something tough or frustrating, remember the Stoic approach. Ask yourself, is there another way to look at this? How can I reframe this situation to find the lesson or opportunity? This practice helps you stay grounded, balanced, and resilient, no matter what comes your way. Lesson 7. Be present in the moment. Let's talk about the power of being present in the moment, because in a world full of distractions, this might be one of the hardest lessons to live by, but it's also one of the most transformative. The Stoics believed that our ability to stay grounded in the present moment is key to living a meaningful and fulfilling life. And when you think about it, they were onto something. How much time do we spend dwelling on the past, replaying old mistakes, or worrying about the future, imagining all the things that could go wrong? Meanwhile, the present moment, the only time we truly have, slips away. Marcus Aurelius put it perfectly in his Meditations when he wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." That's such simple advice, but incredibly powerful. Stoicism teaches us that life happens now, not in some distant future where everything is perfect, and not in the past where we may have regrets. The present is where we have control. The present is where we make decisions. The present is where we experience life. The problem is, being present sounds easier than it actually is. With phones buzzing, to-do lists growing, and our minds constantly racing, it's no wonder we often feel like we're being pulled in 1,000 directions. But Stoicism encourages us to slow down, to focus on what's right in front of us, and to let go of distractions that keep us from fully engaging with the moment. Epictetus reminds us, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." And what we have, above all else, is this moment. Being present isn't just about mindfulness or meditation. It's about bringing your attention back to the here and now in everything you do. Whether you're spending time with loved ones, working on a project, or even doing something as simple as eating a meal, Stoicism teaches us to fully immerse ourselves in that experience. When you're with someone, truly be with them. Listen, engage, and appreciate the connection. When you're working, focus on the task at hand without worrying about what comes next. When you're enjoying a meal, savor it instead of rushing through it while scrolling through your phone. The Stoics understood that living in the present also means letting go of our fixation on the future. Yes, it's important to plan, but worrying about what hasn't happened yet only robs us of peace. Seneca said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." This doesn't mean we shouldn't set goals or think ahead, but rather that we should focus on what we can do right now to move toward those goals, without losing ourselves in anxiety about what's coming next. Being present also helps us deal with stress and uncertainty. When we stay grounded in the moment, we can handle challenges with a clearer mind, because we're not bogged down by what happened yesterday or what might happen tomorrow. We can focus on what's directly in front of us, tackling one problem at a time and making the best decision we can in the moment. One way to practice being present, which the Stoics often emphasized, is through mindful reflection. Throughout the day, pause and ask yourself, what am I doing right now? Am I fully engaged with this moment, or is my mind elsewhere? This practice brings you back to the present, helping you stay aware of your thoughts and actions. Lesson 8. Practice gratitude every day. It's easy to overlook how transformative gratitude can be in our everyday lives. But here's the thing, Stoics like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca understood that gratitude isn't just about saying thank you when something good happens. It's about actively recognizing the value in what you already have, and in doing so, creating a mindset of abundance, even in difficult times. Think about it. How often do we focus on what we don't have? We get caught up in the constant pursuit of more success, more money, more validation. And while striving for better is part of being human, Stoicism reminds us that true contentment comes from appreciating what we already have, right here and now. As Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." This simple shift in perspective can change how we experience life. Gratitude, according to Stoic philosophy, isn't just reserved for the good moments. It's also about finding value in the challenges we face. When life throws obstacles our way, practicing gratitude can help us see those tough moments as opportunities for growth. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to be thankful for everything, even the things that seemed difficult at first glance. He saw them as chances to build resilience, strength, and wisdom. Imagine approaching your hardships with that mindset, finding something to be grateful for, even when things aren't going your way. The beautiful thing about gratitude is that it shifts your focus away from scarcity, what's missing, and towards abundance, what's already here. When you take time to acknowledge what you have, you start to realize that life is already full. Whether it's the roof over your head, the people in your life, your health, or simply the ability to breathe and experience the day, there is always something to appreciate. And the more you practice this, the more your mind will naturally seek out the good in every situation. Stoicism teaches us to practice gratitude daily, not just when things are going well. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, believed that gratitude was central to living a fulfilled life. He urged his followers to remember that life itself is a gift, and the more we recognize that, the less we'll be distracted by the desire for more. When we stop constantly seeking what's next and start focusing on the present moment, we begin to see how much we already have. Practicing gratitude doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need a grand gesture or a big moment. It can be as simple as starting or ending your day by reflecting on 3 things you're grateful for. It can be taking a moment in the middle of a busy day to pause and appreciate something small, the warmth of the sun, a conversation with a friend, or even the opportunity to learn from a mistake. When you do this regularly, it trains your mind to focus on the positive, and over time, it becomes second nature. What's amazing about gratitude is how it changes your relationship with the world. It creates a sense of contentment that external circumstances can't shake. You're no longer caught up in the race for more, because you've developed the ability to see the value in what's right in front of you. This doesn't mean you stop growing or reaching for your goals. It simply means that, while you're working toward the future, you don't miss out on the present. Lesson 9. Prepare for the worst, so you can handle anything. I know, it sounds counterintuitive, right? Why would you want to imagine the worst-case scenario? But this Stoic practice, called negative visualization, is not about being pessimistic or expecting bad things to happen. It's about mentally preparing yourself so that no matter what life throws at you, you're ready to face it with strength and clarity. The Stoics believed that by contemplating potential challenges or losses ahead of time, you actually reduce the anxiety and fear surrounding them. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, often said that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. How true is that? How many times have we built up something in our heads to be far scarier or more difficult than it actually turns out to be? By preparing for the worst, you're not making life harder. You're actually freeing yourself from the grip of fear and uncertainty. So, what does this look like in practice? Let's say you're worried about an upcoming job interview or maybe a big presentation. Instead of just hoping everything goes perfectly, take a moment to imagine what could go wrong. What if the interviewer asks you a tough question? What if the technology fails during your presentation? Now, instead of spiraling into panic, you mentally walk through how you would handle it. Maybe you practice a calm response to the tough question, or you have a backup plan in case the tech doesn't cooperate. By imagining these scenarios ahead of time, you're not caught off guard if they happen. You're prepared. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, was a huge advocate for this mindset. In his meditations, he wrote about starting each day by mentally preparing for difficulties, people who would challenge him, tasks that might be hard, and situations that could go sideways. This wasn't about waking up with a negative attitude. It was about acknowledging that life is unpredictable and understanding that challenges are a natural part of the human experience, and when you're prepared for them, they lose their ability to knock you off course. The beauty of this practice is that it builds resilience. When you've already considered the possibility of things going wrong and you've made peace with it, you're less likely to be thrown by adversity when it shows up. You've already thought it through. You've already decided how you'll respond. This means you can face life's curveballs with a calm, steady mindset instead of panic or frustration. But here's something important. Negative visualization isn't about dwelling on the bad. It's about preparing yourself to handle whatever comes your way. Once you've imagined the worst and you know you can deal with it, you can go forward with confidence. In fact, this practice can actually lead to more optimism. Why? Because when you've already confronted your fears in your mind, you're less afraid of them. You're more focused on what you can control and less worried about what's outside your control. Stoicism teaches us that most of the fear we feel comes from uncertainty. We fear the unknown because we haven't thought about how we'll handle it. Negative visualization is a way of bringing those fears into the light where they're not so scary anymore. It's like shining a flashlight into the dark corners of your mind, only to realize there's nothing there that you can't handle. Think about it this way. When you prepare for the worst, you're not bracing yourself for failure. You're empowering yourself to succeed. You're giving yourself the tools and mindset to stay calm no matter what happens. And that's what Stoicism is all about, mastering your inner world so that the outer world can't control you. Lesson 10. Focus on what really matters. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to get pulled in 1,000 directions. There's always something demanding our attention: work, social media, endless to-do lists, and not to mention the expectations of others. It's overwhelming, and we often find ourselves spread thin, constantly chasing things that, in the grand scheme of life, don't actually matter. Stoicism teaches us to cut through the noise and focus on what's truly important. The Stoics believed that a lot of our stress and dissatisfaction come from spending too much energy on things outside of our control or on things that don't align with our core values. Epictetus, a famous Stoic philosopher, reminded us, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." It's about recognizing that real fulfillment comes from within, not from external achievements, possessions, or approval from others. So, what does it mean to focus on what really matters? It means aligning your actions and your attention with your deepest values. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, constantly reflected on the importance of living with purpose and intention. He didn't let distractions dictate his life. Instead, he focused on being a good person, making wise decisions, and staying true to his principles. For him, that was what mattered most. We can take the same approach in our daily lives. Ask yourself, what do you truly value? Is it your relationships, your health, your personal growth, or perhaps the impact you're making in the world? Once you're clear on what really matters to you, it becomes much easier to let go of the things that don't serve that purpose. You stop wasting time and energy on trivial worries or the endless pursuit of more, and you start putting your focus where it counts, on things that bring you real fulfillment. One of the best things about this Stoic lesson is that it helps you simplify your life. When you focus on what matters, you can say no to the distractions that pull you away from your goals and values. This doesn't mean neglecting responsibilities or avoiding challenges. It's about making conscious choices. You become more intentional with your time, more mindful of where your attention goes, and more protective of your energy. You stop being reactive to the world around you, and instead, you live in alignment with your purpose. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, wrote extensively about time and how precious it is. He believed that most people waste their time on things that don't bring them joy or fulfillment. He said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Stoicism encourages us to stop wasting time on things that don't matter and to invest our energy in the people, activities, and goals that truly enrich our lives. A big part of focusing on what really matters is learning to let go of distractions. This might mean saying no to opportunities or invitations that don't align with your values. It might mean cutting back on time spent scrolling through social media or obsessing over things you can't control. When you clear away the distractions, you create space for the things that genuinely matter, like spending time with loved ones, working on personal growth, or pursuing your passions. Another key to this lesson is learning to accept that you can't do everything, and that's okay. Stoicism teaches us that we don't need to be perfect or achieve every goal society sets for us. Instead, we should focus on what's within our control and what brings us closer to the person we want to be. That's where true satisfaction lies. So, how do you start focusing on what really matters? It begins with reflection. Take a step back and ask yourself what you truly care about. Then, make choices that align with those values. Every day, remind yourself of what's important and be intentional about how you spend your time and energy. This is how the Stoics lived, with purpose, clarity, and focus on the things that mattered most. Before you go, remember this: life will always try to pull you in 100 directions, but the power to focus on what truly matters, to stay grounded, and to find peace in the storm, it's all within you. You've already got the tools. The Stoics gave them to us centuries ago, and now it's up to you to use them. Thank you for being a part of Stoic Journal. If today's video resonated with you, don't stop here. Check out one of the suggested videos on your screen and keep deepening your journey into Stoicism. Every day is an opportunity to live with greater purpose, clarity, and strength. See you in the next video.